build that wall.
Well, that was then and this is now. There's no wall. There's only a fall. And this is Trump's Alamo, and let's pray it doesn't become Trump's Waterloo. I don't know how long it will be until someone on Fox News lifts that concept, but it's a good one when you think about it. I mean, it's worthy of my student for sure. Trump's Alamo might become Trump's Waterloo. Mexican News now says these so-called caravans have grown to 14,000 illegal aliens coming here not for asylum, but for jobs. And whether you know it or not, if they're coming here for work, they are not categorically, they are not permitted to apply for asylum. Yet many of them believe they can take advantage of our lax immigration laws to enter into this country. And so, my friends, you ask yourself, what should we do? Because that's the only question for the day. It is a national emergency. It is an invasion. It is an existential threat to the survival of the United States of America. It will be the end of our borders, our language, and our culture. It is Trump's Alamo. Let's make sure it doesn't become Trump's Waterloo. And so I ask you, the listeners of the Savage Nation, and I have some of the smartest people in the business listening to this show, let's be realistic here. What can the president actually do to stop these 14,000, which will probably grow somewhat, maybe 20,000 when they finally arrive at the U.S. border? Because once they cross the border and once they're here, I think that by international law, we have to process them for asylum. That will be the end of America as you know it. You know, if you look at cell biology, I know you don't want to hear it, but if you look at cell biology, once a cell membrane is punctured, the cell is destroyed. Whether this is on a biological level of a cell or a national level of a border, it's the same thing. What the hell do you think borders were devised for to begin with? What nation on earth can survive without a border? None. Absolutely none. And so this now becomes the Alamo. And what is the president going to do about it? I don't envy him. The only people who are smiling right now are the evil ones, the Pelosi's, the Feinsteins, the Schumers, the Waters, all of those who are behind the invasion of America and want to see our nation broken are happy right now because they say, oh, this is great. We can't wait to see those illegal aliens who we call citizens on that border. Let's see what he's going to do then, huh? Well, I don't know. Why is Nancy Pelosi not there with 14,000 foot baths? She can give them all foot washes, as she did in a great show of solidarity with the illegals in the past. And why are the others not there with foods and whatnot? Moreover, I want to ask you something. Where are they relieving themselves along the way? Where are the 14,000 people relieving themselves? I don't understand it. Who's taking care of them? They can't all be coming to Nancy Pelosi City in order to relieve themselves on the sidewalks. I mean, they heard about it's a great place to do it, or New York subway. There's a picture today in New York of a bum dropping his pants in the subway in front of everyone and urinating on the tracks, and the train comes to a screeching halt. This is not civilized society. We are no longer a civilized nation, and don't blame the conservatives for it. We would never permit this. Never in a million years would we permit bums to defecate and urinate in our streets, nor would we permit armies to invade the nation. The blame squarely belongs with you, the good-natured liberal, who has never found any way to disagree with anything that I say. And so, can you tell me all you liberals are so concerned with health care and your health care benefits? That's all you're worried about? Where is the money going to come from if all of these illegals come across the border? Where's the health care going to come from for you? You know that they're going to get better health care than you. You know that, don't you? Do you know that right now illegals can go to any emergency room in America and qualify for the best health care in the entire world without showing any ID? Did you know that? Do you know hospitals are not allowed to ask for any ID because of you? And yet you're complaining that your health care isn't good enough? Well, I'm going to ask you again. You are now an advisor to the President of the United States of America. The caravans have now combined and have grown to at least 14,000 illegal aliens who are invading the nation. And it could become Trump's Waterloo, while right now it's only Trump's Alamo. It is an existential threat to the nation and to the presidency of Donald Trump. Now, you've seen the footage. Strapping young men in good new clothing. In front of them, women pushing strollers with 5 children in the stroller. Are we supposed to take care of all of these people? Every third world impoverished person in the world is coming here, and the truth is we can't take care of them all. Moreover, there's another question that is begging to be answered. According to the Democrats, we are a racist nation. According to the Democrats, we're very, very bad to illegal immigrants, and we're racist to Hispanics. And what are they coming here for? If this is such a horrible nation and so racist, why are they all breaking down our door to get in here? Now, here's another horrible truth for all of you. There's not a liberal listening to this program who wants them here. Can you name anyone on the Upper East Side or Upper West Side of Manhattan who really wants hordes of illegal aliens in their neighborhood? Do you actually think they're going to rush out and invite these people to dinner? No, they don't want their quiet little lives ruined. Let's be clear. This is an attempt by the Democrats to create mass hysteria against President Trump, against Republicans, and against Americans who support them. That means you and I. This is how evil the Democrat Party has become. Because if we were a sovereign, sane nation, there would be no division on this issue. But they would like to see Trump send the military to the border. And they would like to see immigrants brutally mistreated or shot and killed at the border. They'd like to see a killing at Kent State so they could hold up the pictures. But make no mistake about it. This is an invasion army. It's an army without guns. You might say that no other nation on earth would allow something like this to happen, but you would be wrong. Germany's communist president, Angela Merkel, did this to Germany, and look what happened to them. Leaders in Germany are now getting up and gloating and saying there are no Germans anymore. There are French communists who are saying there are no French anymore. There are English communists saying there's no England anymore. And now in America, do you want someone to stand up and chant there are no Americans anymore? Well, this big caravan and the others that will come after it are an existential threat to the survival of this nation if it is not stopped. And the question goes back to the first one I asked on the Savage Nation. How does Donald Trump stop it? He is the commander-in-chief. He does not need Congress to approve his actions when it comes to the military. So what should the military do when they're sent to the border? Tell me what they should do. What should their rules of engagement be? Are they going to be water cannons, rubber bullets? How far should they go? Trump is the man in the driver's seat. We put him there just for this alone. Did you hear what I just said? Never forget what Trump was elected on. He was elected on stopping the flood of immigrants coming into America. I don't care what else you may have voted for. That's the number one issue that he took and ran with, right? Well, this is now his moment. So how does he stop this human wave? Well, here's a thought that's a little troubling. It doesn't really matter what Trump does. If he sends the military to the border, the vermin in the media will follow, and they will make their pictures and videos and frame interviews with women and children to fit their sick narrative, and will make it look like Trump, the military, the Border Patrol, and the Republicans are all evil white men, resorting to drastic measures to keep brown mothers and children from a better life in America. You can bet your Social Security on that. They did the same thing with the separation policy at the border. Did you notice that every media member, every Democrat in Congress, every Democrat spokesperson, all of them said Trump was ripping children from their parents? Remember the narrative? Ripping children from their parents, ripping families apart. You think that's a coincidence? The word was chosen on purpose, and they all collaborated in using it. It was to create an image in your mind, and it was to induce a mass hysteria against not only Donald Trump, but against this nation itself. Now, I will invite you to call on this issue, but I don't want to flood myself only with this because there are other issues that are plaguing me. I almost did a Periscope performance over the weekend on Trump ripping up the nuclear control agreement with Russia. It scared me to my core because this was one of Reagan's signature achievements, was working out a nuclear control agreement with Russia. And then I wake up and I see, oh, Trump's going to rip it up and throw it out. Why? Now, I'm going to make this very clear. Donald Trump is surrounded by nationalists and globalists. Over the last several months, the globalists have taken control of this administration, most notably the walrus. Once I saw that little bellicose walrus enter the inner circle, I knew things were going to go really bad in this country and in the world. That bellicose nut, the walrus, the national security advisor, is strutting around the world stage, throwing his weight around, threatening Russia as we speak. It's not going to end very well for the world. Because I will tell you this. I hear, oh, well, Russia violated the agreement. First of all, how do you know that's true? What, because you read that in the newspapers? Do we really know if Russia actually violated the agreement, number one? And number two, if you have an agreement with someone and you think they're violating it, if you call them and say, I'm ripping up the agreement, they no longer have any reason whatsoever to talk with you about abiding by any part of that agreement. That is the stupidest thing I've ever seen, the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And it's a turn from what Trump was elected to do. Never forget why I backed him. I didn't know Donald Trump before he ran. I met him once or twice. I didn't know him. But I made a rational decision on this show. And I begged you, if you hadn't voted in years, to come out and vote. Do you remember what I said to you? I said this may be our last chance. He's not a politician. But most importantly, I did this because I knew he could beat the others, and I knew that he alone could beat Hillary Clinton, and I was right. But there was another thing about it that you may not remember. I kept saying to you, Donald Trump is a man of peace. Donald Trump is not an interventionist. Donald Trump wants our troops out of Afghanistan. He wants our troops back home. Donald Trump even said on this show in November of 2016 that if I win, Michael, he said, I will meet with President Putin. He said that right on this show. Long forgotten, but I haven't forgotten it. Donald Trump ran as a man of peace and as a non-interventionist. That's such a big issue that I also want to get to. But primarily today, we're going to talk about the confrontation at the border, the Alamo, as I call it. And I'm going to ask you, what would you advise the president to do? Can you come up with a solution that hasn't been thought of yet? Now, over the weekend, I came up with an interesting one-liner, from Russia collusion on the left to Russia collision on the right. Stop mass hysteria. And I'll be right back to discuss these topics on the Savage Nation.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. Story. You understand this couldn't be produced today because of the communist fascists who are running the media and all of the others who would say it's racist to even make a play about why people are coming here. What do you think they're coming here for? If it's a racist nation, they're coming here for what? The racism? They're coming here for everything's free in America. What are you people stupid? You know, I'm going to refer to my great book, Mass Hysteria, because no one else will. And if I don't, who will? You? America's Anchor Hammer is going to tell you to go buy it? Wallbanger is going to tell you to look at the greatest book of our time. I don't think America's Anchorham will acknowledge Michael Savage, nor the others. Neil Prosciutto is going to mention it on Fox News. So I'm going to tell you that this is the most important book for you to have in your hands right now, and I'll read you one paragraph. If you disagree with me, tell me why. Today, as Republicans join with Democrats to demand an end to separation of families, as the illegals cross the border, we see the warning I put forth coming to fruition. Congressional Republicans, as well as high-profile conservatives, have caved to the emotional outcry championed by the leftist media. Oddly enough, their concern for these children has only come about under the Trump administration, as this practice was largely ignored in the Bush-Obama era. Not only has Congress rejected efforts to remediate these practices, but it has also failed to replace the largest immigration family detention center, T. Don Hutto in Taylor, Texas. Yet again, we witness the media, the Democrats, and even Republicans being persuaded by madness. Public figures are attempting to influence the masses with outrageous statements and exaggerations. Most irresponsible came from former CIA Director Michael Hayden, as he compared this policy to Nazi Germany. On Twitter, the former CIA director wrote, "Other governments have separated mothers and children," along with a black and white photo of the Birkenau concentration camp and death camp in Poland. As one commentator pointed out, this is page 33 of Mass Hysteria, there were no cafeterias and teachers and video games in the concentration camps of Germany. The kids in our amnesty detention facilities have all of this and more. This is nothing but leftists trying to avoid the real issue of a need for the Democrats to sign on to legislation that will address our immigration laws. Another found irony in their hypocrisy and wrote this: the National Socialist German Workers' Party, a.k.a. Nazi Party, murdered 6+ million innocent Jews who committed no crimes. The National Socialist American Non-Worker, a.k.a. Democrat Party, has slaughtered 60 million innocent babies, chopped up their tiny bodies and sold the parts with the same zeal shown by their ancestors in the SS, who pulled gold out of the teeth of their victims. For me, the moral outrage from the common useful idiot on the left rings just a bit hollow. And so now we're being dragged into an emotional hysteria. And my friends, again, I ask you to please pass a copy of Mass Hysteria out in the few days that remain, so you will see who is actually pulling the strings on this invasion. And if you think that there are no politicians on the Republican side who are making and will make fortunes off the surge of immigrants and have been making fortunes, I can give you a shopping list of their names. It's all found in Stop Mass Hysteria, the most important book you will buy this year.
Join the
We all know what's going on, and this is not a baseball game. This is the survival of your nation that is being toyed with by the evil Democrats, and God knows who's funding them. We have a suspicion that we know the names of the groups, but make no mistake about it, corruption on both sides of the aisle has existed for a very long time. And if you were to point your finger only at the Democrats, you'd be right up to about the 80th percentile. But there's probably 20% of Republicans who are making fortunes by housing, clothing, legal services, God knows what else. And never forget, you have a group of 17,000 people in a mob. How many of them are carrying contraband? Are you certain that every baby carriage only has babies in it? You haven't watched enough movies to put two and two together? You're that naive? You're telling me amongst this horde of humanity, there are not drugs being smuggled? Are you joking? And by the way, what about diseases? These are unscreened, 17,000 unscreened people from a third world nation where several diseases are still endemic that will overwhelm our hospitals and wind up killing our children. You think I'm exaggerating? Look back on EVD 68, polio-like. I covered it then. I wrote a book about it. That's my degree. That's my expertise. You want them here, though, because you don't think things through. Your heart is probably a good heart, all you leftists. Some of you are good people. Not all of you. Some of you are evil. But you have a good heart. You see, oh, well, come on. Leave in the tired. Give me your tired, you're poor, and you're hungry, and those yearning to be free. It sounds good, doesn't it? And then you'll say, Savage, come on, your grandfather was an immigrant. Yeah, but he wasn't a bum. And he was coming here because he was going to work, and he worked his heart out till he was able to open a little store in Manhattan, and then he got a heart attack at 47 from working so hard and died. Then my father died in his early 50s from killing himself. So I, man-child in the promised land, could do it the right way. And every step of the way on my road has been difficult and hard. Maybe it's me, maybe it's my karma, but I'm still here, and I'm here for a reason. And one of the reasons I'm here was to help elect Donald Trump. I played a big role in his election. Well, I'd like to suggest that you, the audience that voted for Donald Trump, help Donald Trump stop this invasion. But I don't see any creative ideas coming out right now. Now, I will tell you that there was a strategic error in the Trump administration. You probably haven't heard this yet because either the media is against Trump or lick his boots. Either America's Anchorham, who attacked you, and America's Anchorham ridiculed Trump for a year straight. It's okay. I'm glad he joined the team because it's good for ratings. But signing NAFTA before the midterms was one of the greatest mistakes strategically he ever made. Why do I say that? Because Donald Trump should have waited until after the elections to negotiate with the Mexican government. Because if he had waited until after the midterms to have negotiated NAFTA completely, he could have had the Mexican government stop the illegal aliens from entering this nation through Mexico. He would have said, here are the terms. Okay, we want to do a deal with you, but this is a big deal to us. So we'll sign it after the elections, but you're going to stop them before they even get near the border. Now, what would you do if you were Mexico? You would have said, okay, look, we got to do it. But what would you do if you're Mexico now and you got everything you wanted in NAFTA and then some, and now it's not their problem, it's our problem? Tell me what you'll do now if you're Mexico. Nothing. Tell me what leverage do we have over Mexico now that they signed away all of our negotiating power? So you say, the art of the deal. I'm sorry, there was a disaster, mistake. Many of you are under the mistaken notion that Donald Trump is not a man. You think he's a god. This is the worst thing you could possibly think. He's a man. He's only a man. He's a smart man. But he's only a man. Why are you turning a man into something that he's not? Why do you people think that a leader should be a god or a demigod? You did it with Obama. The left thought he was a god. Look what that did to this country. The damage he's done to this nation internationally has not yet been told. Just look at Iran and what he's done to that nation's ability to destroy so many people on this planet. But let's put Obama aside. Right now, Donald Trump is president. And as a man, I'm sure he's up at night wondering, what can I actually do? Every scenario imaginable runs through a person's mind. Doesn't it run through your mind when you're facing a problem? Whether it's a child who's in trouble or a bad marriage, you probably neutralize everything you think that you're going to do. You think, I'll do this, then your mind says, no, you can't because of that. So if you were him, you'd be saying, okay, we'll put troops on the border. Then you say, I can't do that because, well, there's 100 reasons why he should, but he can't. So what can he do? Tell me what he actually can do. Build a wall? Well, that should have been done a long time ago. That's what he was elected for. That was his signature campaign issue. I can't blame him entirely. Congress has stood in the way every step of the way. The obstructionist Charles Schumer has held up the money. Pelosi washed the feet of the illegals, etc. So they never wanted a wall. They live off illegal aliens. The governor of the state of California, the governor of the state of New York, I will put my career on the line and say, if there had been voter ID in these states going back 15 years, they would not be politicians in power right now. They'd be the obscure people on the ash heaps of history that they should have been. But because of the millions of illegal aliens who've been flooded over the borders into California, Texas, border states, you have a Democrat socialist machine that is almost unstoppable. And you may say, oh, good, great. Well, if you like Venezuela and eating giraffes for dinner, welcome to the Organization of the American States. Would you like a nice giraffe with that drink, with your Chardonnay? You think it's a joke? They're eating zoo animals in that nation, that socialist nation that will be reduplicated here in America if these people are not stopped. So, again, what would your advice be if you were advising the president as part of his radio cabinet? We won't call it a kitchen cabinet of the type that Ronald Reagan had. I won't call it a buffet cabinet of the type that Donald Trump once had. He's now being advised by people, and I have no faith in many of them, I'll be honest with you. Once this guy, Bolton, was made national security advisor, the axis shifted in the Trump administration. Everything went wrong. The whole administration went off kilter. It was good. It was doing really good. And once Bolton was put in there by very powerful international forces, who right now Bolton's trying to scare Russia. Are you joking? You think the Russians are going to be scared of this guy? You know what's ironic about Bolton and Russia? Just for a minute, this was plaguing me over the weekend. Bolton had a screaming match last week, allegedly, with General Kelly. Now, General Kelly is a certified war hero. He's a 4-star Marine general. Do you know what that means? Well, most people don't even have any idea how significant that is. General Kelly is the real American there. General Kelly is actually a dove. The warmonger is the draft dodger, Bolton. Think about the irony of that. A man who has probably never fired a gun wants war with Russia, wants to bring missiles into Ukraine. A man who's actually seen men die in his arms and seen them bleed out in front of his arms. A man who gave his son to this nation. Because when I met General Kelly, I went in his office, we were talking about heroes And he said, do you really like heroes? I said, yes. He said, let me show you a hero. And General Kelly asked me to enter his office in the White House. And then he closed the door behind him, and he showed me a picture on his mantle and a flag. And he said, that's a hero. It was his son. He gave his son to this country. He gave his son's life to this country. And he's a dove. He doesn't want war because he knows what war is. Instead, you have a craven maniac around the president who has never fired a gun running around trying to ignite fires all over the globe because he's a neocon warmonger who no doubt was put there by the military-industrial complex. That's a complicated paragraph, but rather easy to follow. It's got many, many different syllables in it, but it's quite easy to follow. Beware the military-industrial complex. So Donald Trump came in as a man of peace, as a non-interventionist, and all of a sudden we wake up, and all over the globe we have problems all of a sudden. How many nations can Donald Trump have antagonism with at once? Let's see now, count them. There is Russia, China, let's see now. Oh, Iran, that's 3. North Korea, that's 4. Mexico, that's 5. Canada, that's 6. What's next? When is this all going to explode? You know, the schisms are getting larger. The fault lines are getting larger. There's a slight rumbling of earthquakes all over the planet. Jordan says it's pulling out of an agreement with Israel that they've had in place for a long period of time. Jordan wants some land back that they leased to Israel. Israel's now farming it. Jordan says we want those contested lands back. The fault lines are cracking all over the globe. I feel it. I can feel the masses stirring in this country and around the world. And when you see the hordes of the world's poorest trying to break in to this land of milk and honey, and we have tens of millions of poor in this country who are not being taken care of. We have a drug crisis that's overwhelmed so much of this country. Where is the money supposed to come from to treat the drug addicts, the rehab, the care facilities, all the seniors? Where's the money supposed to come from if now you want another 20,000 pouring in over the border? Where are they going to go? They're going to go where? In Los Angeles, Dallas, Houston? Where are they supposed to go? You're going to welcome to your apartment on the Upper East Side of Manhattan? I don't think so. I don't know of one liberal who wants them here, by the way. They all lie about it. And when I run into them, and I do once in a while, and many of them listen to my show, they say, I actually agree with you on a few things. I said, really, what? Mainly on immigration. They said, we can't have any more of them here. We agree with you on immigration. We agree with you on the homeless thing. They all agree with me, but they say we can't say anything because we're afraid we'll lose business. You know, yesterday afternoon, just a side note, a me thing. I went to the museum here in San Francisco. There's 2 great ones. One is the Palace of the Legion of Honor up on the hill overlooking San Francisco Bay on the Golden Gate Bridge area. And it has one of the greatest collections of Rodin sculptures in the world. It's a world-class collection. And it's usually quiet. It's not got the children running around screaming. There's no music in it. And I go there once in a while to just steep myself in great European civilization, great European art. You know, I don't know anywhere else I can go within an inch of a painting by Monet worth $80 million. And I can see the globs of oil paint. Do you know what it's like to stand in front of a master painting without a glass on that painting, an $80 million painting, just to put it in dollars and cents, and be within a few centimeters, actually, of the oil? I like to put my eyes right next to the paint. And to be near that greatness, there's a vibration that comes back at you. So then I combined it by going out to one of my favorite Chinese restaurants. And you know, when I was leaving, what the owner of the Chinese restaurant said? Take care of yourself, Michael. We need your voice. I was stunned. I've been eating there for almost 30, 40 years. I had no idea he even listened to the show. Here is a man who owns a Chinese restaurant and says to me, take care of yourself, Michael. We need your voice. Okay, think about that and then call me.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. Take one atom of nitrogen and bond it with one atom of oxygen. Boom, you just created nitric oxide, a miracle molecule your own body makes that fuels your cardiovascular health, keeping you vibrant. But as we all age, our bodies need help generating more natural nitric oxide. Super Beets by Human has harnessed the power of nutrient-enriched beets and created a superfood that helps your body make more nitric oxide on its own. The core philosophy of Human is to develop heart-healthy products for your body. 1 teaspoon of Super Beets daily tends to support your cardiovascular health and blood pressure levels, giving you natural energy without the need of a quick caffeine kick or sugar high. We're talking real, healthful, natural energy. So call 800-481-0504 or go to SavageLovesBeets.com and find out how you can get a free 30-day supply of Super Beets and free shipping with your first purchase. I want you to feel the 1 + 1 = boom effect of Super Beets. Just call 800-481-0504 or SavageLovesBeets.com. I'm Michael Savage, and you're listening to Talk 1398.7. Let me just tell you for 1 minute about your home security company. Maybe you're using one, right? I don't know. Well, you know it's like dealing with another bad cable company. It should really be easy, not hard. And how many hours do you spend when you call them waiting for technicians or telling them to send one? And then when they come and you say, I've had enough of this, I want to get out of this, you're locked into a 3-year contract. You don't really have to do that. No one does. If you're looking to protect your home, go with Simply Safe Home Security. They're the best at what they do. They're real. They're comprehensive. They cover every window, door, and room in your home. Beautifully designed. Looks good in your home. You'll actually want to use it. And Simply Safe actually makes your home safer. It's that simple. They have backups in place to keep you safe, protecting your home. Even if you lose power, lose your internet connection, or someone attacks the system. But best of all, you get 24/7 monitoring with police and fire dispatch for just $15 a month. It's a great deal. And unlike other home security companies, Simply Safe has no long-term contract. You can install it yourself. Protect your home today. Get free shipping, free returns at simplysafesavage.com. That's an easy address. simplysafesavage.com. One more time. Come on now. simplysafesavage.com. We are talking about the seminal issue of our time. And that issue is not Social Security, as the liberals would have you believe. They would have you believe that most Americans care only about health care. Sure, health care is important, but not as important as national sovereignty, because let me tell you why. If you let these 20,000, which will be at least 20,000 by the time they hit the border, in, what are you going to do when it's 100,000? And what do you think they're going to do with our health care system? Do you have any idea what kind of diseases some of these people have and what kind of medical conditions they have? Do you know that they get priority over you and in a hospital? And you're going to complain about Medicare or Medicaid or health care when you're going to flood 20,000 or 100,000 in? And they get priority over you? Are you people that stupid? I'm starting to think Americans don't even want to live anymore. So what would you do if you were Donald Trump? How would you stop this horde? John on WABC Line 6, what's your solution?
Hey, Mike, totally disagree with you on the political end of things. I think this is a big net positive for the president, for Republicans, conservatives, because the midterms are still 15 days away. They're only moving, they're 2,000 miles away. They're, if I were the president, I would make sure that the networks had a camera on these people making their way slowly to the border. I think it will rouse the Republican base. And secondly, I think it only... So, John, are you implying that Donald Trump is behind the migration wave? No, I'm saying to take advantage of the images showing them slowly, this army of migrants coming.
Yeah, but wait, let's back up for a minute. First of all, these are human beings. Let's start with that. And rather than talk about which party benefits and which party loses, I could care less. I don't really care which party benefits or loses. I care only about the sovereignty of my nation and the health of my nation. And so that's the question I asked. Since you seem to think that it's going to be a benefit to the Republicans, how would you stop the masses from getting in here?
Well, if I were the president, I would privately call up the president of Mexico and say you're not getting one more dollar if those people are able to reach the southern border of the United States.
One more dollar of what? He already signed away all of our benefits through NAFTA. What is his negotiating power right now?
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage. Warning. The Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of borders, language, culture. And here he is, author of Liberalism is a Mental Disorder, Trump's War, and God, Faith, and Reason, Michael Savage.
Build that wall! Build that wall! Build that
wall! Build that wall! Build that wall! Build that wall! Build that wall! Build that wall! Build that wall! Build that wall! Build that wall!
Yes, indeedy, build that wall. Mass hysteria is what we're listening to right now, both on the left and the right. Notice the left is completely silent. None of them will step out and say we want the illegal aliens here. Have you noticed that? All the big mouths. Nancy Pelosi's not offering to wash their feet. Dianne Feinstein's not. Well, I don't want to get comedic about this in the political arena, because mass hysteria has often changed the course of history, rarely for the better. And to understand the danger that we are facing right now, you have to look with me back to see how mass hysteria was spawned, the damage it caused, and how it was eventually dissipated. Ultimately, and I'm an optimist at heart, the American system is a masterpiece of self-policing and self-correction. I just want to remind you of a few things. We have a great system, and it usually corrects itself. And after the massacre at My Lai in Vietnam in 1968 or the 1972 break-in at the Watergate Hotel and office complex, we did not require an outside tribunal to come in and set things right, as Germany did at the Nuremberg trials after World War II. Instead, we were able to rely on our national conscience, enlightened by a free, objective, and independent press. But our entire system is now at risk, and the drift toward disaster must be corrected. The huge mass hysteria of special interests, political correctness, internet memes, and social media tropes must be identified as the partisan anti-American force it is. It must be called out and stopped if our republic is to survive. That's page 49 of Mass Hysteria, the most prophetic book of our time. Now, I just received an email from a friend in the media who sent me a shocking story, a shocking news analysis that just came to me through the Hill. And you're not going to believe what I'm about to tell you. 70% of Americans support Medicare for all. 70% of Americans support Medicare for all, including more than half of you, Republicans. So the Democrats, being the cynical communists that they are, have decided not to even talk about immigration. We have a report in my other hand. There's so much flowing into the Savage newsroom right now, and I'm one man alone in this room. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer tell Democrats, ignore the immigrant caravan. They're ignoring the caravan because they said that the president is desperate to change the subject from health care to immigration because he knows that health care is the number one issue Americans care about. That's from Representative Nancy Pelosi, one of the most cynical women in the history of this country, and Senator Chuck Pastrami Schumer. They're telling Democratic candidates to ignore public worries about the hordes. Okay. Well, I know how to fix that, Donald Trump. If you still talk to me instead of to the wall banger, I have an answer for you, Mr. Trump. You know, you ought to broaden your kitchen cabinet. You talk to that stooge twice a day, I understand. He's not doing too good right now. You know, I have people who watch Fox News that tell me they can't watch it because all day long is the same stories on every show. No matter what show they turn on, it's the same 5 stories with the same guests. How many times can you watch Newt Gingrich or any of the other hacks that they have on over and over and over again? And yet it seems that Fox News is now running the presidency. Well, go to the geniuses now and ask them what they think should be done. because they won't have the answer I'm going to give you, Mr. President, because here it comes for free for the world to hear. What's the problem? The problem is the 17 to 20,000 illegal aliens who are going to hit the border and try to come over the border, and then you're going to be stuck with them. What are you going to do about it? Well, if you hear that most Americans don't care about immigration, they care only about their own self, meaning health care. What you have to do, Mr. Trump, is cleverly explain to the American people how much health care is sucked out of this system by non-citizens. You don't have to go any further than your local hospital. I've been there several times over the last several years, and I've been given worse care than illegal immigrants who don't speak a word of English. I see them come in with a runny nose with 5 members of their family with sombreros and boots on, with mud still on their feet from Mexico. You want me to be graphic? I'll be graphic. I know how to paint the picture with words. Maybe it's offensive to you. Maybe it's not polite NYU talk. Well, they're not so polite either. And the invaders are not so polite either, by the way. Maybe if more Americans were less polite than they are, we wouldn't be overwhelmed as we are right now. Explain to the American people how much each illegal alien costs us in terms of welfare and health benefits. And then explain to them that if these illegal aliens are allowed into the country, there won't be health care for all. There will liable to be health care for none. That's what's going to happen. The hospitals will be turned into third world hospitals. The hospitals will be overwhelmed. Who's going to pay for the doctors and the nurses and the equipment and all of the things that are required for the care of these people? I know they're human beings. I understand that you'd like to give everybody everything, but the world doesn't work that way. It cannot work that way. The reason this nation is so great is because of the hardworking American people, but there's a limit to how much we're willing to pay in taxes. That's a separate question. I don't want to go into taxes right now. Explain to the people who want free health care for all how much each illegal alien costs us and what it will do to our health system and how it will destroy Medicare for all. Destroy it completely. Destroy it. You won't have anything left. 70% of Americans support Medicare for all. So explain to the average American that if we let in all the immigrants that are trying to break through our borders, the illegals, we'll have Medicare for none because the system will be completely destroyed. Okay, so that's a simple message. The president needs to get out in front of this and explain the connection between the desires of the American people or the wants of the American people and the lack of resources that already is in place and what it will do to the system if they are allowed to overrun the border. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Keep it simple, stupid, but it's all true. I've talked about it for many years because I've been in hospitals and emergency rooms. Things have happened to me. I don't have a doctor. Even at my age, I take no medication. I know it's crazy. I don't. I have no medication. So far, so good. And I don't go to doctors. Once in a while, something goes wrong, I go to a doctor. They're great. We have the best doctors in the world. And I like that gooey substance they put on my body and run the thing, whatever. The thing is, okay, so far I've been lucky. And I'm covered by, medical care and all of that because I paid for it my whole life. But I'm talking about the masses of Americans who don't understand that everything costs something. Every brick on every sidewalk, every centimeter, every piece of pavement in your city costs something. Every fire hydrant costs something. Now, what about the $1 trillion in unfunded pensions in the state of California? $1 trillion in unfunded pensions in California because of the unions. What's the number of unfunded pensions in your state? And who's going to pay that? So you're telling me that there's no way to explain to the American people that if we let more people into the lifeboat will sink? That's an analogy I've used for years in all of my books. I look at all my books sitting up here on my showcase. Every one of them has something to do with illegal immigration. Borders, language, culture has been the watchword of this program for 25 years. Borders, language, culture. Borders, language, culture. Hasn't been lifted yet by any of them. I'm sure the next cartoon book will be called Borders, Language, and Culture by my student. But this is not about me. This is about this nation and what we're going to leave behind when we leave it behind. What are we going to leave behind when we leave it behind? A third world cesspool? Again, does that offend you? I hope it does. Because in San Francisco, we already have a third world cesspool in the streets. And it's not being caused by immigrants. It's being caused by liberalism, the mental disorder. You let a person drop their pants and urinate or defecate in the street, you no longer have a society. You have something lower than an animal. A dog hides when he goes to the relieve himself. A dog hides it. A dog hides it. When a human being doesn't, that's no longer a human being. The person is dropped out of humanity. And they're begging for society to take them and put them into a care facility. Begging. They're begging for us to pick them up and put them in a facility because they have no ability to take care of themselves. So we have these numbers of bums all over our streets. We have armies of heroin addicts, armies of fentanyl addicts, armies of cocaine addicts, armies of Valium addicts. And who's going to pay for the care of all of these people? I love all these shows. They go to Intervention. Intervention, they meet in a hotel. They got nothing to do. They sit around in a Holiday Inn and have some schmendrick as a former drug addict. I love all of the care people. It's all a racket. They get it both ways. It's like the Trun's Meat Company. We sell everything but the squeal. First you sell them the drugs, then you sell them the treatment. Who owns these treatment facilities? I don't know who owns them. Who's an expert on treatment? What's the recidivism rate? Do you have any idea? I love it. Gloria went into rehab for 16 days and then she ran away. We never saw her again. I love you watch these shows. There's the family crying. There's the grandmother. There's the grandfather weeping. Oh, Gloria, I've always loved you. You're such a woman. I don't know. So far, thank God I haven't been cursed with that problem. I don't know what to say about it. If you have the problem, fine. Who's going to pay for it? Oh, covered by Medicaid for a Medicare for all. Yeah, treatment's in there. Tell me what's not covered in Medicare for all. Fallen arches covered. Baldness covered. Test anxiety covered. Alcoholism treatment covered. Drug addiction treatment covered. How much does this cost? How can we afford this? The answer is we can't. The answer is we're bankrupt. The answer is the government's printing money faster than Weimar Germany was printing money. The answer is the actual value of your dollar is not what you think it is. It's all a hoax. The whole thing is a hoax built upon a house of cards. And the house of cards is liable to come tumbling down any day. And if I were the president, I would immediately call a national emergency, and I wouldn't give a damn tweet about it. I would hold a press conference in the Oval Office with the seal of the United States of America and the presidency, like all presidents have done in the past, and stop the damn tweeting already. It's not a joke. You're not the Kardashians. Give a speech in the Oval Office and say this is a national emergency. And here is what I'm going to do and why. Because I know health care is important to all of you. And I want to help you get the health care you need. But if we let these illegal aliens into this country, they will so destroy the health care system, there's liable to be no health care for any. And so for this reason, I'm doing the following things. Thank you very much. Good night. I'm going to take a break right now. There it is.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. They're looking for solutions now, and it can't be done with a tweet. It has to be done with a press conference in the Oval Office with the presidential seal, with an announced press conference where the whole country stops for a few minutes and listens. This is a national emergency, a national crisis. And you have the Democrats cynically sitting it out, saying, let's not even talk about it, because they know most of their people don't want the illegals here either. By the way, you know any liberals who want more poor people in the country? I haven't met any yet. You only hear a few of the big mouths on TV, the multimillionaires who tell you should take more of them in. I'd have to name their names, those liars, those cynical liars. So then we read that 70% of Americans support Medicare for all. 70% they supported providing Medicare for all, single-payer health care. A poll conducted by Hill TV and Harris X Polling Company found that 42% of respondents said they strongly supported the proposal, while 28% said they somewhat supported it. The results mirrored a Reuters poll released in August that 70% of Americans supported Medicare for all. Now, that's Bernie, the communist, Sanders' signature position. Senator Sanders, the communist, the overt communist, the descendant of Karl Marx, actually sponsored Medicare for all legislation. And what does it actually mean? Nobody would be uninsured. Sounds good, doesn't it? Who's going to pay for it? You? The bums sitting in cafes in San Francisco are going to pay for it? Who's paying for this? The corporations that evade taxes are going to pay for it? The billionaires who pay no taxes are going to pay for it? Who's going to pay for this? You, the middle class, is going to pay for it. And largely the middle class is composed of both Democrats and Republicans who've worked their whole life. Who's going to pay for it? You are. So listen to me very carefully. The president has a crisis. Perhaps the number one crisis of his entire, well, I would say the North Korean missile showdown was a crisis. The thing with Russia right now is the equivalent of the Cuban Missile Crisis, by the way. It's the same, almost the same dynamics as the Cuban Missile Crisis. Russia, missiles, U.S., the bellicose little one running over there to start a little war, threaten everybody. Oh, is he having a good time? From out to in, from circling the outer buffet at Mar-a-Lago not even a year ago. You couldn't get a meatball. The guy couldn't get a Swedish meatball. There he was circling the outskirts. They wouldn't let him near the buffet. He was out of power, working for some think tank, Bolton. All of a sudden, I wake up, and there's the man who gave us the Iraq War, now dictating U.S. foreign policy. There he is, the guy who gave us the Iraq War based on the false lie, based on the lie of weapons of mass destruction. He created the whole thing, him and his neocon buddies. The whole pack of them, the military-industrial complex, the neocons, whatever you want to call them. They gave us the Iraq War. Weapons of mass destruction, they're going to blow up New York. So there we were in Iraq. Bush fell for it. And there he is now. First he started with the Syria, he wanted to bomb Syria. He couldn't get Trump to do that, thank God. Remember I raised my voice against that? I said, Donald Trump, please listen to me. I probably have a better stethoscope to your independence than anyone in the country. And if you launch Tomahawks at the Syrian Air Force based on a false flag event, you're going to lose your base. I don't know whether he heard me or not. I would have to assume. After all, I'm not an insignificant voice in this country nor in this administration. They do know what I'm saying. So I'm saying this right now. President Trump give a national press conference in the Oval Office, call it a national emergency, and tell everyone that the illegals will destroy the health care system once and for all.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400.
Well, the army of 17,000 illegal aliens, most of whom are young men in great health of military age, using women and babies in baby carriages as a front for the magazine publishers on the left, are marching toward the U.S. border aided by Mexico. I've tried to warn you about what mass hysteria is all about. I try to warn you that this is a movement to stir up mass hysteria on both sides, by the way. And I've also, so far in this program, been as constructive as anyone in the media could ever be, because I've told you what I think the president must do, and that is hold a national news conference, and right in the Oval Office, not by tweeting, not through a bellicose speech in front of a crowd, which changes his demeanor, but in a very somber setting of the Oval Office, desk, presidential seal, an announced conference. The president will speak tonight at 8 o'clock to the nation and the world, and he announces we have an international crisis on our borders. It's a national emergency. No nation can survive an influx of this nature. I know that most Americans want health care for all. While that is not possible, and while we do have the best health care system in the world, I'm here to tell you that each illegal alien costs this country approximately $85,000 over a lifetime. It's probably much higher than that in medical care, in medical costs alone. And if you do the numbers, this medical system will be broken if we let these poor people in. And while I have compassion for them wanting to improve their lives by coming here, we cannot permit it, because we'll lose the greatest medical system in the world for everyone. And for that reason, I am hereby authorizing the military to approach the border. Now, the problem is that they have to be stopped before they get to the border, because by international law, I think once they cross the border, we have to process them for an asylum claim. That's how twisted the laws are, thanks to the Schumer-Pelosi complex. It's going to have to be a little different than that, and I haven't worked out the details. I think that since we signed NAFTA, unfortunately and foolishly, NAFTA was signed a few weeks ago. It destroyed any negotiating power we may have over the Mexican government. But I assume there are still some elements of NAFTA that haven't been finalized, or we have some controls or whatever. The Mexican military must be stationed way before the border, like 100 miles before the border in Mexico. Believe me, they know how to take care of their immigrant problem. Trust me on that. They don't have the human rights problems that we do. Okay, just speak to any Guatemalan who came here. You'll hear about the Mexican military and how nicely and how humanely they treat other Hispanics. Just in case your mind is so twisted you think that it's all one brotherhood, you know. So they know how to deal with the problem. You have the detention centers. You give them the humanitarian care that they need in Mexico. And maybe we pay for it there. But they can't come here. It's that simple. And that's the end of it. I don't see how hard it is. Well, what's so complicated? Why is it so hard to think about doing that? Why is it so hard? I want to take some calls. I've been on the air for an hour and a half. I haven't taken one call. We had a former DEA agent call and tell me that he knows for a fact that many of these people are smuggling drugs. Well, it's logical to assume that of 17 to 20,000 people, at least a few of them would be carrying drugs in a baby carriage. How many movies do you have to watch to figure it out? You haven't seen enough of them? Okay. So what do you think should be done? Well, there are other answers. What if 1 million Americans went to the Mexican border? What if there was 1 million American march to the border? And we, the people, went to the border and said enough is enough. What would happen then? Well, that's a terrible thought, isn't it? But what if 1 million American people went to the border? I don't know the logistics of that. Maybe Al Sharpton could help organize it. He's real good at bringing people. Bernie Sanders probably knows how to do that. They would know where to rent the buses, probably owned by Republicans. You know, Republicans probably own the buses. And the Koch brothers probably own the water supplies on the border, for all I know. I know they said they own a lot of the detention centers, the so-called conservative. So what's your answer down there? Huh? All right, we can get your calls if you want, or would you rather hear me talk about it? Well, let's begin in this segment by playing some rational sound. Here is Representative Louis Gohmert on the migrant invasion in clip number 1 on the Savage Nation.
The president made no bones about it, and actually he can take his lead from the Democrats, a Democrat named Woodrow Wilson, not one of my favorite presidents, but in 1916, after Pancho Villa's gangs came across the border in New Mexico and killed a bunch of people, not only did he put 75,000 or so of a new thing called National Guard troops on the border, but he sent General Pershing into Mexico. Now, President Trump's not going to send people into Mexico, but he's made clear that this basically is an invasion and it needs to be stopped.
Now we hear the president himself talking about who's funding this in clip 2 on the Savage Nation.
And now we're starting to find out, and I won't say it 100%, I'll put a little tiny question mark at the end. But a lot of money's been passing to people to come up and try and get to the border by Election Day, because they think that's a negative for us. Number one, they're being stopped. And number two, regardless, that's our issue.
Okay, they're being stopped. Well, how? President Trump, we're behind you on this. Make no mistake about it. We back you on this. And by the way, most Democrats back you on this. Forget the leadership. They don't back anything except anything that stabs us in the back. How are you going to stop them? Well, this is from an earlier speech a week ago, but listen to number 3 and see what he said last week.
As you know, I'm willing to send the military to defend our southern border if necessary. All caused because of the illegal immigration onslaught brought by the Democrats because they refuse to acknowledge or to change the laws. They like it. They also figure everybody coming in is going to vote Democrat. You know, hey, they're not so stupid when you think about it, right? But they are crazy, and the crazy Democrats refuse to support any form of border security legislation to fix our absolutely horrible, old-fashioned, loophole-ridden immigration laws.
Okay, good. That's good talk, but now we need action. He's a man of action. He's built buildings all over the world. He's not just a man of talk. He's a man of action. That's why we loved him. And we want action. We love the talk. Now we need the walk. And so what's the walk going to be? You're now an advisor to the president. You, the restaurant owner. You, the baker of wedding cakes. You, the mechanic. You, the retired housewife. You, the officer of the law who sees every day what these people do to this country. You, the people running poverty programs who know that there's limited amounts of money. You, the nurses. You, the doctors. Tell me what you would do if you were on President Trump's advisory board and he listened to you instead of listening to newsmen, or rather commentators at Fox News, almost exclusive to everyone else. How is that possible? How can you run a government listening only to people on Fox News? Let's say they're nice people, they're good people, they're smart people. Are they the best people and the smartest people on the planet? They know more than everyone on the planet because they're on Fox News with a camera in their eye? Because they know how to put on makeup and make a tie and read a script? I don't think they're the smartest people on the planet. I didn't say they're the stupidest or the worst. But I would say amongst many, there's some. There may be others with better ideas. And so what are your ideas? You now have a chance on the Savage Nation to call this show and be heard by a lot of people. I don't know the numbers. It doesn't really matter. And remember, your comment is like a pebble in a quiet pond, and it'll spread like ripples throughout the landscape. What would you advise to stop this human assault? Well, there are no better ideas than the ones I've given. But maybe you think you have a better idea. What is your idea, though? James on KSFO, you say it's a negative to put the military. Why?
Well, I'm retired police, and Dr. Savage, I'm really concerned about putting military on the border. Because are they going to arm the military, which they should be, and really think there would be a national incident? I mean, they're not police.
Oh, no, you're 1,000% right, because the Hondurans, Guatemalans, and El Salvadorans will provoke an incident to get shot. They want gunfire into the crowd.
They should hire more border patrol and specifically place them on the border instead of, driving around and stuff. But I really think that...
Well, I think once they get to the border, it's over. The game is game over. They need to be stopped in Mexico. So the pressure has to be applied on the Mexican government to use their military, their police, their federales, and whatever they have to use to build a barricade that they cannot cross, whether that barricade is armored cars, police cars. It doesn't matter what the barricade consists of. They must create a temporary barricade that cannot be crossed by anyone. And they must funnel this human wave into a narrow area that can be contained.
If the United States somehow pays the Mexican government to control it, I think that's a thought. But I really don't think we should put our...
Well, you're right. First of all, the military's not designed really for non-combat situations. Unfortunately, it's been turned into... they've been turned into police in too many actions, but they're trained to take on enemies and kill them, not trained really to stand there. I mean, let's look at the training of military. How do we win battles in Iraq, for example, or Afghanistan, or right now in Syria, wherever the battles are going on? You have men who are aggressive, who go into battle to charge the enemy and destroy them. That's what the military is trained to do, not to act as international, not to act like the UN. Oh, let's call out the UN, the useless UN. Where is the UN now that we need them? Those bums sucking us dry, those mooks, those bums. Mutt. That's an in-joke. Sorry about that. No, where are the mooks and the bums from the UN? Why don't they send the UN to our border to protect us? UN? Are you joking? You know what those initials stand for, don't you? Sorry, it's a family show. Okay, let's take some more calls. KBYR Radio, Cato, line 9. Cato, what's your solution?
Yeah, I think we ought to put them on a slow boat back to Guatemala, maybe cargo ships or something. I've seen videos of them. I mean, they're strutting, demanding, aggressive, grasping, disrespectful.
Do they look like very weak, downtrodden people who are in need of help, or do they look like strapping young men?
Well, Well, they got good clothes on, fresh American clothes on.
Yeah, where'd they get the new sneakers and the new shirts and the clean clothing? Who's doing their laundry for them?
Maybe the Catholic Social Services.
Oh, my goodness. We finally hit bingo. We hit gold. Yeah, the good friend of Michael Moore. It's the Pope. It's the Catholic Church that lives off this. This is one of the number one cash cows for the Catholic Church, is illegal immigration. You do know that, right?
Yeah.
And then you look at all the pews that are sitting empty in America with those nice, beautiful buildings. The Americans stopped going. They're not buying that movie anymore. So what better way to fill up the pews than with people from the third world who still believe in the act? And so what you do is they're very smart. You got to hand it to the Vatican. They get billions of dollars from the U.S. government to destroy the U.S. government. It's incredibly smart. You know, you really have to be close to God to figure something like that out. Must take a break.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. For many years, I've been warning the Savage Nation about a secret war on cash by big government and big tech to steal both your money and your privacy. Well, recent reports confirm that this war is expanding like wildfire, and time is running out to take action. Would you please not become the next victim in this battle? Please discover how to win the war to destroy your hard-earned savings. My good friends at Swiss America have detailed all the dirty little government secrets in their updated report. It's free. It's called The Secret War on Cash, Part 2. It's available now by calling 800-289-2646, 800-289-2646 for this important report, The Secret War on Cash. This documents real-life events such as banks refusing to cash checks, cash being confiscated from innocent citizens, and much, much more. Don't delay. Call now, 800-289-2646, and you will get your free copy of The Secret War on Cash Part 2. Call 800-289-2646 now. Here's the truth about most home security companies. Well, they're like dealing with another bad, old-fashioned cable company. You're going to spend hours waiting around for technicians, hours on the phone to get questions answered, and then when at your breaking point, you remember, I'm locked in a 3-year contract with these people. Now, look, if you're looking to protect your home, go with Simply Safe Home Security. Why? Simply Safe is real, comprehensive protection, beautifully designed, looks good in your home. Using it makes your home actually much safer. Simply Safe has backups in place to keep you safe, protecting your home even if you lose power or internet, or if someone attacks the system. Best of all, you get 24/7 monitoring with police and fire dispatch for just $15 a month. And unlike other home security companies, Simply Safe has no long-term contract. It's the best around-the-clock protection you could find at the best price. Get free shipping and free returns at simplysafesavage.com now. Go to simplysafesavage.com. I'm Michael Savage, and you're listening to Talk 1300 and 98.7. Every one of us has had an old car, used car, run out of the warranty. You take it in for an oil change, and you get hit with thousands of dollars in a repair bill. Well, what are you going to do about it? Well, what you should have done and what you should do is get extended vehicle protection from CarShield. Look, if your car breaks down after the manufacturer's warranty expires, it could cost you thousands to get it fixed. An engine? What does an engine cost today? What, $10,000? $5,000? A sensor, $1,000? CarShield makes the process of fixing your car for a covered repair super easy. You can have your favorite mechanic do it or the dealership. They also give you 24/7 roadside assistance and a rental car while yours is being fixed absolutely free. If your car has 5,000 to 150,000 miles, it does not mean you have to pay high repair bills. CarShield administrators have paid out close to $2 billion in claims, and they're ready to help you. So listen, save yourself thousands in future car repairs. Get covered by the ultimate in extended vehicle protection. Call 800-CAR-6100, 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 code SAVAGE. Or visit carshield.com, code SAVAGE, and you'll save 10%. That's carshield.com, code SAVAGE, or call 800-CAR-6100, code SAVAGE. A deductible may apply. That's right. Now back to business as usual. Trump's Alamo, let's make sure it doesn't become Trump's Waterloo. It is a national emergency, the invasion of the illegal aliens. The Democrats have created mass hysteria. How is Trump going to stop them? What happens if he doesn't stop them? Trump pulling out of the nuke deal with Russia, global neocon warmongers taking over. Now, I haven't gotten into this yet. I wonder if any people in the media are making any kind of hidden money on the migrant issue. You don't know. I'm just raising the question. Do you think there are any people in the media who are invested in some kind of services for illegal aliens that we don't know about? Why? It's impossible in this country? And I mean on both sides of the aisle, don't get me wrong. There can be those who claim to be great patriots who own thousands of properties that are Section 8 housing for illegal aliens. How would you know? So I just tweeted something. President Trump, please call a national speech from the Oval Office. Declare national emergency. Explain how health care for illegals will destroy health care for all. How health care for illegals will destroy health care for all. How health care for illegals will destroy health care for all. Health care for illegals will destroy health care for all. Did you get it yet? That's as good as Stop Mass Hysteria. I realize no one can steal Stop Mass Hysteria now. It's a book cover. They don't dare do that yet. But they can do a book maybe overnight called something along those lines. From Russia collusion on the left to Russia collision on the right. Stop Mass Hysteria. Only days to go before the midterm elections. What are you going to do about it? Are you actually going to engage people in a conversation about what the illegal aliens would mean to their health care, to their Medicare, to their way of life? Do they want more money sucked out of the system? These are not going to contribute to they're not net bringing anything in. They're not bringing any skills that we need. So what are they bringing to this nation?